you had a great day so far. All right, so today for our grade 6 English lesson, we are going to be doing common and proper nouns. So we're going to be doing common and proper nouns. And before we start, we are going to log in to aplusstudents.ca. So you're going to log in with your username as well as your password. So once we've logged in with our username as well as our password, then we're going to select the subject of language arts. Grade 6. All right, so we have selected the subject of language arts. So now we are going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of common and proper nouns. So once we have selected common and proper nouns, the lesson that we are going to be focusing on is identifying common and proper nouns, right? So we are going to be identifying common and proper nouns under the chapter of common and proper nouns, right? So let's get into it. All right. So a noun, right? So we're going to start with a noun. A noun is a word that names a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? So a noun, it is a word that names a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? Or even animals, right? It names those. Then we have common nouns and we also have proper nouns, right? So with common nouns, a common noun, it names general types of people or person, places, things, or idea, right? So these are general things, right? Whether it is a general person, um, and when we say general, then it means that it is not specific, right? Like, for example, a person, instead of saying the person's name, you can maybe just say the girl, or you can say the boy, for example, or the woman, or the man. That is generalizing, right? Because it means that it can be any girl, it can be any boy, any woman, any man, for example, right? The same with places, things, or ideas, right? When we generalize or we say general types of person, places, things, or idea, then, like I say, it can be any person, any place, anything, or any idea that we are making mention of. So it's not a specific person, place, thing, or idea, right? So that is a common noun. And with common nouns, it is not the name of a person, it is not the name of a place, a thing, or idea, right? Oh, sorry. Sorry. So once again, common noun, right? It names general types of person, people, general types of people, places, things, or idea, right? So like I said, it is not a specific name. For example, if like a person, we can't say Anna, right? So it is not the name, it's not Anna specifically, it is not Jack, it is not Jim, right? It is not Paris, but they're just talking about the place, right? Or the town or something. Um, so it is not a specific thing that we are talking about. And common nouns, right? We do not capitalize it. So common nouns is not capitalized unless a common noun is at the beginning of a sentence, right? So unless it is the first word of a sentence, that is the only time that we will capitalize it. Why? Because a sentence starts with a capital letter, right? However, if it is in the middle of a sentence and we're randomly just talking about it, then it means that the common noun will not be capitalized, right? So it's only capitalized if it is the beginning of a sentence or the first word of a sentence, and a sentence starts with a capital letter. So that will be the only time that we capitalize it. However, a common noun is not capitalized unless it is the first word of a sentence or the beginning of a sentence. Then we have a proper noun. And a proper noun is a specific name of a person. It is a specific name of a place. It is a specific name of a thing or an idea, right? So it is a specific thing. We are, instead of generalizing the girl, we specifically talking about Natasha. Instead of generalizing the boy, we can specifically mention Kyle, right? Um, Instead of generalizing a place, right, we can, for example, say um, Paris, right? Instead of generalizing an animal, for example, which is just saying dogs, right? You can refer to your own dog, for example, as Button, right? Just an example. So, and a proper noun, right? A proper noun, it always starts with a capital letter, right? Which means that all proper nouns are always capitalized, right? We write it with a capital letter, whether it is in the beginning of the sentence, the middle of the sentence, or even at the end of a sentence, right? We need to capitalize a proper noun, right? So we capitalize a proper noun. All right, so now we have a few examples, right, of common nouns as well as proper nouns, right? So we will have the general common noun on the one side, and we will have the specific proper noun on the other side, right, on the right hand side. For example, boy, right? If we just generalize a boy, we are talking about any boy, right? That is a common noun. But if we are specifically talking about a specific boy, then we can maybe make mention of, for example, Jacob, right? So Jacob is not just any boy that we are talking about, right? Because if we just say common noun, the boy, then it can be any of the boys that is either standing there or that is in the room or that is running out or playing over there, right? But we are specifically making mention of Jacob, right? And that is the Jacob, the name is proper noun. And the common noun is, for example, where you just say boy, or you just say girl, or you just say man, or you just say woman, right? Then we have day, right? If we just say, oh, any day or that day, right? We don't know what specific day you are talking about, right? So when we generalize, which is a common noun, we can maybe just say day, right? Can say day. But as soon as we make mention of a specific day, right? And then we can, for example, say either Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and so on, right? All right, common noun. If we want to specifically talk about a street, right? Then if we just make mention of any street, right? Or you specify, then you can just say, oh, you must go down that street, right? It means it can be any street, right? However, if we specifically want to make mention of a specific street, then we can maybe say Elam Street, right? So Elam Street is then you need to go down Elam Street, not just go down that street, right? Or I go down this street. No, I specifically went down Elam Street. And as you can see, Elam Street is also capitalized. Same with city, right? If we just say, oh no, I'm going to the city, right? Or it's in the city. the concert will be, or the circus will be in the city, right? What city? But if you say it's going to be in Chicago, right? Then we know it is specifically in Chicago. So it's either we must go there or we cannot go there because it's too far, right? So these are examples of common nouns and examples of proper nouns. Common nouns that names general types of a person, place, thing, or idea, right? And we said a common noun, it does not name a specific name. It does not give a specific name of a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? And also with common nouns, right, we do not capitalize common noun unless it is the first word of the sentence, or unless the sentence starts with a common noun, right? So remember, a sentence starts with a capital letter. So unless the word is a common noun, right, which is the beginning of that word, right, then it will be capitalized. But it is not capitalized just for the sake of capitalizing. Then we have a proper noun, right? And a proper noun is a specific name of a person, place, or thing or idea, right? And we see that proper nouns, we always need to capitalize, whether it is at the beginning of the sentence, whether it is in the middle of the sentence, or whether it is at the end of the sentence. We need to always capitalize a proper noun, right? Because it basically gives us a specific name of a person, place, thing, or idea, right? Even your animal, right? Instead of just saying the dog, you can say button. Now we know, okay, we're talking about button, we're talking about cinnamon, we are talking about whatever the name of your pet is. All right. Okay, so before we go to our questions, right? Before we go to our questions, let us quickly go to a whiteboard, right? So once again, here we mention now again about the common and proper nouns. And we said a common noun, right? It names any person, place, thing, animal in general, for example, or like we would say in common, right? And a common noun represents a noun of the same kind class, right? For example, we have boy, state, desk, bird, right? But we're not making mention of it. Like we're not specifically, sorry, mentioning or stating what it is, right? And we have proper nouns, and it is the name of a specific or particular person, place, thing, animal, or idea, right? And a proper noun, it always begins with a capital letter, right? And then we have an example, like example, Mary. It's a name of a specific person. Boston, May, Snoopy, right? So Snoopy is the name of the animal, right? Specific. That is what common and pronouns are, right? And once again, here we have again the meaning of common and proper nouns with some examples, right? Common nouns that names generic people, places, things, or ideas, and proper nouns that name specific, right? Specific people, places, things, or ideas, and it always begins with a capital letter, right? So instead of just saying the author, right? You can say the author's name. So author generalizes, can it's a common noun, but if we make mention of the name of the author, right? And then that is a proper noun. Once again, instead of just saying a city, can be any city. So if you just mention, oh, this city, and then it means that it is a common noun because you're not being specific. But if we specifically talking about Paris, then we know, oh, we are talking about Paris, right? Which is that specific city, which is a proper noun. Same with planets. If we just make mention of the 8 planets that we have, right? And talk about a specific planet. If we mention the name of the planet, for example, Neptune, Earth, Jupiter, and then it means that that is a proper noun, right? The same with language, right? If we just talk about, oh, language has changed over time, and the language within that country, right? It can be any language within that country, but if we say Spanish has changed over time, right? Because maybe they speak more than one language, right? And like we say, proper nouns, there is, it always starts or begins with a capital letter, right? And here we just have examples again. Instead of saying the ocean, you can say Atlantic Ocean, right? Which is the proper noun. Instead of saying the common noun car, we can make mention of a proper noun. Be specific and say an Audi or W or Mercedes Benz or Tesla, for example, right? Instead of just mentioning the common noun or general mountain, we can either say Mount Everest, we can say Table Mountain, or any mountain that we make mention of, right? Instead of just talking about a specific country, right? Or just saying the country, we can either talk about Canada or we can talk about South Africa, right? Just an example. um Common noun, just mentioning city, the random city, right? Or generalizing a city, right? But if we specifically state the proper noun, right, of a specific city, then we can either say Paris, we can say Cape Town, we can say Johannesburg, for example, right? We make mention of a specific city, and that is a proper noun, right? Lastly, instead of just commonly making mention of this specific language, we can either say English, we can say Spanish, we can say Arabic, we can say whatever specific language, right? So these are the difference between a common noun, which generalizes things, right, or genetically mentions things, and then we have a proper noun, which is a specific either person, place, animal, thing, or idea that we are making mention of. And we said proper nouns are always capitalized, whether it is the beginning of the sentence, the middle of the sentence, or at the end of the sentence. We always have to capitalize proper nouns. All right, so now we're going back to our tutorial where we are identifying common and proper nouns, right? So now it says to select the two common nouns within the sentence, right? We need to select the two common nouns within the sentence. Miss Harrison just returned from a trip to Jordan where she had been working with local lawmakers, right? So we need to identify the two common nouns within that sentence, right? So if we identify the two common nouns within that sentence, then we will choose the one which is trip, right? And the other one which is the local lawmakers, right? So these are the two common nouns within that sentence that we have identified. We need to now select two proper nouns within a sentence. The proper nouns. In New Zealand, July is the coldest month of the year. So in New Zealand, July is the coldest month of the year, right? So we need to select the two proper nouns. If we select the two proper nouns within the sentence, the one would be New Zealand, name of a place, and July, which is a month of the year, right? So that is the two proper nouns. And as you can also see that those words, the proper nouns, it is capitalized, right? It's not the beginning of a sentence, right? Because of it being proper nouns, it is capitalized. So New Zealand and July. We need to select one common noun within the sentence, right? We went to we visited Central Park. It's so vast that it has 21 of playgrounds. We need to choose the common noun within that sentence, the common noun, right? So we went to New York City. We visited Central Park. It's so vast that it has 21 official playgrounds, right? So if we choose the common noun within that sentence, it will be playgrounds, right? Playgrounds. All right, so that is then basically the common noun generalizing, right? The general thing that we made mention of. All right, so now before we go to our test, right? So before we go on to our test, we are going to our whiteboard, right? Going back to our whiteboard. And now we're going to do a few activities, right? And once we do the few activities, almost like just like a few numbers or few sums of the activity, right? And then we will then go on to our test, right? So now it says we need to match, right, the common noun to the proper noun, right? So once again, a common noun is either a person, a place, a thing, but not specific, right? Whereas a proper noun, it names a specific noun and it is capitalized, right? So we need to draw a line to match the common noun with the proper noun. So we're going to match the common noun on the left, right? The common nouns here on the left to the proper nouns on the right. All right, so woman, we need to look for the proper noun of woman. So if we make mention of a woman, then we can maybe say Susan is a woman, right? So Susan is a woman. So woman is generalizing, whereas a specific name is Susan. Then we have months of the year. So the month, right? If we talk about a specific month, then we can say October, right? It's my birthday month. Oh, when is your birthday month? October, for example. So October is a specific example, name or place or thing. So like in this case, it is specifically saying October instead of just saying it's my birthday month, right? Then we have day, right? So with day, we can say Monday, right? So day generalizes, whereas Monday, it is the proper noun, which is specific, right? Then we have a book, right? We have a book. And if we look at the words on the right, the words on the right, which is the proper nouns, then it means that we need to identify the book. So let's say maybe the book is the giver, right? Then we have, let's go here right to the bottom, the mountain, Mount Everest or Table Mountain, right? So we have the general on the side, and then we have the proper noun on the right hand side, which specifies specific, right? The name of a store is Walmart, right? Our dog is a German Shepherd. And that is but a few of the common as well as the pronouns that we have identified. All right, we're going on to the next one. We need to identify whether the underlying noun is a common noun or a proper noun. So we need to identify whether the underlined is either a common noun or a proper noun, right? And the example is given to us. For example, look after my dog while I'm at school, Tina told her mom. So the word Tina is underlined, right? So Tina is underlined. And Tina is a proper noun, right? It is a name of a specific person, right? So Tina is a proper noun. So we need to say either whether it is a proper noun or whether it is a common noun. Rachel invited her friends for a party. So Rachel invited her friends for a party, right? So Rachel is underlined, which means that Rachel is a proper noun because it is a name of a person. People gathered in the park to watch the firework. People, right? So if they're just talking about people, random people, then we are going to say this is a common noun. The school reopens on Monday after the spring break. Monday, day week, we go proper. And are these toys for me? Asked Jamie. Proper noun, right? Proper noun. And we're going to do one more. A visit. I visit many websites while shopping online, right? So if you're just making mention of many websites, then we can say it is a common noun, right? All right, we might as well just finish this. Our cat Fluffy is sleeping on the bed. So cat, not Fluffy, just cat. So if we make mention just of the word cat, then we can say it's a common noun. Then Mr. White has traveled all over the world, right? The word world is a common noun. Common noun. And then Empire State Building is one of the tallest in New York City. And this is a proper noun, right? So in this case, we have identified whether the underlying noun is either common noun or it is a proper noun, right? So now we're going on to the last activity before we go on to our test. All right, so I made it a bit bigger. Okay, so now it says proper noun, special places. The direction for the instruction is to use editing marks to show which word needs a capital letter. And here we have an example, United States, that is all in small letters, right? Which means that we need to add the U to be capital letters for United and the S capitalized for state, right? United States, right? So now we need to use editing marks to show which word needs a capital letter, right? And specifically the words in bold. So specifically the words in bold. So the Mississippi River is very long, right? And that needs to be capitalized, right? Then we have I went to visit my hometown of Jalonigo in Georgia, right? So which means that the hometown Jalonigo, Georgia needs to be capitalized, right? So this needs to be capitalized as well as Georgia and the Mississippi River. I would like to be able to visit Antarctica, right? Capital letter. Egypt is in Africa, right? Capital letter for E for Egypt, A for Africa. There is a large rainforest in South America, right? So large rainfall in South America, which means that South America needs to be capitalized. South America. We went fishing at Table Rock Lake last summer. We need to change that word to a capital letter, right? Because Table Rock Lake is probably like a either a place that you can either do your fishing, maybe it's a campsite, we don't know, but it's definitely a name of a place. Table Rock Lake. And then the capital of California is Sacramento, right? So California capitalized and Sacramento it's capitalized. There are boulders that look like elephants at the Elephant Rocks State Park, right? Elephant Rocks State Park needs to be capitalized, right? And then she drove through Dallas, Texas on her way home. These two words are capitalized, right? Let's say at least the first letters of that word needs to be capitalized. And then we are planning a trip to Yellowstone National Park next year, right? So Yellowstone National Park is needs to be capitalized because it is a national park that they are making mention of. All right, so these are all proper nouns that we have underlined, right? And the underlined words needs to be capitalized, right? Or at least the first letter of that word needs to be capitalized because not capital letters but um proper nouns, all words of the proper nouns needs to be capitalized because they are specifically making mention of a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? And those are proper nouns, right? And we also went over common nouns. Oops. Right? And then we also make mention of if we had to state whether it is a common noun or a proper noun, sorry, and we also matched the specific words, right? We matched the common noun on the left to the proper nouns on the right. All right. So that is now our activity. So we're going on to our test, right? So now we're gonna go on to our test where we have identified common as well as proper nouns, right? And we went over a few examples of a common noun as well as a proper noun. So now we're going to do our test. And before we do our test, just a friendly reminder that a noun is a word that names a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? That is a noun. Then we have common nouns, right? And common nouns, they name a general type of person, right? Can be any person, place, thing, or idea. And it is not the name of a specific person, not the name of a specific place, not the name of a specific thing, and also not the name of a specific idea, right? And a common noun is not capitalized, guys. It is not capitalized unless it is the first word of the sentence. Then we capitalize it because a sentence starts with a capital letter, right? And then we also gave you a few examples of common nouns on the left hand side as well as proper nouns on the right hand side. All right, so now we're going on to our test. I will. Why did it go out? Oh gosh, what's happening? Just apologies. I don't know why it is. We say grade 6. We're going on to test. All right. So now we're going to begin test, right? We need to select three proper nouns within the sentence. We need to select three proper nouns within the sentence. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a holiday that falls on the third Monday in January. So we need to select three proper nouns within that sentence. Is it Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Monday, January, or is it Luther King Jr. Day, Monday, and holiday? We need to select three proper nouns within that sentence, right? And if we select the three proper nouns, we are going to choose option 1, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Monday, as well as January. All right. China is a huge country with a wide range of land forms. We need to select three common nouns. Three common nouns. Is it country, range, landforms, or country range wide, right? We are going to be choosing three common nouns within that sentence. All right, so if we choose the three common nouns, within the sentence, right? Then we're going to choose country, range, landforms, right? Country, range, landforms. And that is the three comma nouns within that sentence. The next one is after Gina volunteered with Doctors Without Borders, she decided that she could become a doctor. Right? So now we need to select the one common noun. Is it doctor or is it doctors? Right? So we need to choose the correct common noun within that sentence, right? We need to select the correct common noun within that sentence. Is it doctor, which is the first option, or is it doctors with a capital letter, right? For Doctors Without Borders. All right, so if we choose the common noun within that sentence, and then it will be doctor, like becoming a doctor, right? Not capitalized. Remember, we capitalize a proper noun, right? We capitalize a proper noun, not a common noun, unless the common noun is the beginning of the sentence. We need to once again select one common noun within that sentence, right? Have you ever taken a trip to the Guggenheim Museum in New York City? You need to select either the common noun trip or ever. Trip or ever, right? One of those two. Either trip as a common noun or ever as a common noun, right? And if we select the common noun within that sentence, we can then we select trip as the common noun within that sentence. We once again need to select one common noun within the sentence, right? From the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, you can see beautiful views of the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean, right? So from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, you can see beautiful views of the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. We need to choose one common noun, either between views or bays, right? And remember, a common noun does not have a capital letter unless it is at the beginning of a sentence. So the views or bay with a capital letter. All right, so if we must choose the common noun, then we will choose views and not bays, right? Because bay speaks about the that specific bay at the ocean there. And lastly, we need to select the two common nouns, right? Mr. Yamamoto says that Silver Grove High School is the best school in the whole state, right? We need to choose the two common nouns. Is it best and school or a school and state, right? Two common nouns. And if we choose the two common nouns, we can say it is school and state, right? That is the two common nouns within our sentences, right? So this is then now the end of our lesson on common and proper nouns, right? And we said common nouns names general things, right? General person, place, um, let's say things or ideas, right? Even animals. Whereas we have a proper noun that mentions a specific person, place, thing, or idea. And a capital letter, we always need to capitalize, right? Whether it is at the beginning, the end, the middle of the sentence. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson grade sixes on common and proper nouns. Thank you very much for joining our class, and I really hope that you have an amazing evening further. Goodbye.